Thanks for joining me today here on the channel. Welcome back to another installment of the Coach Carter College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series here on College Sports Revived. In the last episode, we went through the first off season of the series, and now we're jumping into year 2 in this episode, along with some interesting storylines. For starters, we had our top scorer, Shaq Hammond, averaging around 15 points per game. He goes on and he graduates, our lone senior. So now we're going to have to see who's going to take the reins and really be our go-to scorer, because all the good teams need one. And along with that, our season opener is at Indiana State, and Coach Carter did this for a reason. As you can see here, Jud Baldwin, a freshman, he was Coach Carter's first ever prospect he was interested in that first recruiting class, but he decided to take his talents to Indiana State. Coach Carter's still relatively a young guy for a coaching job here at the D1 level, but he wants to set the tone with a victory here tonight. He wants to show the type of coach that he is, and that is taking no prisoners and squashing beef on the court and ultimately coming out on top, showing Jud Baldwin that he made the wrong move. But enough quarreling about personal vendettas. We got a big matchup here tonight, and as you can see, Coach Carter's been a little quiet on his rotation here on year 2, but he's going to put Joey Ballard at the 4, slide David Giles up at the 3, and insert Marcus Saunders for his first college start tonight. And this will be the rotation to start the year. And a lot of questions. Hopefully this rotation can help answer some, as getting started early is Jamal Coombs, the Indiana State leading scorer. Marcus Saunders misses his first field goal attempt of the night, but how about Joey Ballard with the tip-in? If Ballard's going to play the 4 this year, he's going to have to prove that he can become more active on the rebounds. And here we go, David Giles on the next possession off the mark, but Joey Ballard with 2 back-to-back big rebounds, leading to second chance points for David Giles as he makes good on his second attempt on that possession. So Joey Ballard setting the tone early, showing Coach Carter that he can fulfill that 4 role. And here we go off a missed free throw. Easily, beautiful pass into Joey Ballard with 2 early buckets for him. And even though we're only a few minutes into the game, he is the Skyhawks' top scorer so far, as he collects his 3rd on the game right there, as Christopher Faye, the freshman center, checks in from Senegal as a nice pass by David Giles. Christopher Faye is in the college stat sheet for the first time in his young career. Skyhawks find themselves up 3, and here comes Jud Baldwin, putting the post moves on the 6'1" Marquise Saunders. David Giles tries another 3. That one left a little bit short, but now hits Floyd Zubek, hitting the glass, as extending the lead up to 6 is Floyd. Still remain at 6 with 2 to play here in the first half. Ball reversal goes to Jamal Coombs, and that one's off the back iron and in, as he is the first player on the floor to reach double figures. Pretty interesting lineup the Skyhawks have right now. They have Saunders, Giles, and Luke Lawton seeing his first collegiate action, as there is Floyd Zubek making another big basket here in the early goings. With 23 seconds left, up by 6 are your Skyhawks until Xavier Sullivan takes it on Gene Schofield, finishing on top of the Skyhawks defense. Indiana State's got some sneaky scores here at the end of the bench, making an impact here as they cut it to 4. Kickout goes back to O'Sullivan. This one he leaves a little bit short. 5 seconds left. Schofield collects the board. Up to David Giles. Hop step, fadeaway, leaks over the side iron, and drops here at the end of the first half as the Skyhawks go into the intermission with some momentum, up by 6. David Giles trying to prove that he can be that go-to scorer with the loss of Hammond in the offseason. Now beginning the second half action, here's the point guard for Indiana State. Cameron Cooley, the junior guard, makes good on a 3, and Indiana State has shooters from A to Z on this roster as they go back to Cam Cooley. This one he kicks out to Luther McLemore. McLemore, a 6'7" senior forward, Mr. Versatility on offense, as the big fella shows nice touch from the 3-point arc as he cashes in on his second made 3-pointer of the night. But on the Skyhawks side of things, ball goes to the high post. Nice dish inside by Christopher Faye. Joey Ballard maybe developing an offensive game here. He's not trying to do too much tonight, but he's looked really good when the ball's been in his hands on the offensive side. Now the ball reversal, Marcus Saunders cashes in from the 3-point arc. Saunders has high expectations this season. He's had a rough go of it tonight, but there's his first made 3-pointer of the new season. Giles tips a pass on the press, continuing to take control of the Skyhawks as they find themselves on an 8-0 run here. And even though it was really the Skyhawks shooting that became hot, it was a lot of the little things that propelled UT Martin to this huge run we see them on. Just nice teamwork there. David Giles fading to the corner, 18 in his first time as the UT Martin's go-to guy with no more Shaq Hammond. But Jud Baldwin would not be the only freshman on this roster who has a bright future. 6'4" freshman Terrell Steele with one of the best finishes we've seen in this entire series, cutting the lead to single digits. Skyhawks back on the offensive side of things as David Giles looks for a basket to put him in the 20-point threshold, and that he gets on this possession. Nice drop-off pass from easily timeout Sycamores. Now up by 9, a ball reversal to David Giles. He's got the freshman Jud Baldwin on him, takes it to him, finishing over the big fella inside. Giles with a stellar 22 tonight. Here's an entry pass to Ballard to the post, continues to make nice plays when he has the ball in his hands. Nice pass over to Saunders, that would come up short, and here comes Jamal Coombs leading the break. Jud Baldwin finishes it off as Coombs shows that not only he can score, but he can facilitate with the best of them as well. 3 assists for Coombs, and Baldwin with a solid night tonight in his debut. But here comes Saunders, tickles the twine from way downtown as he's now in double figures. He had a really rough first half shooting the ball, but he's starting to find his niche here in the second. Luke Lawton in his first college game hasn't had many opportunities to shoot the rock, but there's a nice pass as he drives, defense collapses, doesn't get much easier than that. Great look from the freshman, a smart play as Saunders has looked a lot better in the second half than the first. 14-point game now, and a guy who's quietly put together a really good night is D. Cartwright, finishing down in the low post, and he'll continue on defense. Tips a pass, beautiful dish inside. Christopher Fay from underneath the rim, doesn't get much easier than that. Timeout Sycamores as the lead is now 16, and the Sycamores forward also leaves that three-pointer short, easily leading the break, leading the charge as he will put it in and out. Tough night for him tonight, but instead he makes a smart play, dishing it off to a man who's had a great night. Easily doing a great job getting the ball into the playmaker's hands as he did that plenty his freshman year. Now Giles wants to return the favor, gives it this time to Luke Lawton off the back rim, but how about Joey Ballard? Once again his third offensive rebound of the night, still with no missed shots on the night tonight for Joey Ballard. And at the end of the day, being 81-64 win for the UT Martin Skyhawks to begin year 2. How about that? And yes, we did put up 80 plus points in the season opener, but one focal point that Coach Carter has wanted to make this year between his recruiting strategy and in the game plan is defense. He wants to prioritize the defensive side of things a lot more this year than last, as you guys will see. Last year, UT Martin had the worst defense in the Ohio Valley Conference, letting up the most points per game, but in this opening night, only 64 points allowed, and that's no small feat. Indiana State has a lot of good shooters on this team, but we limited them to only 5 made three-pointers and forced a lot of turnovers. So, moving on, Tennessee Martin continues to stay undefeated, though early on, they do sit at a 2-0 record. Their home opener was against the Furman Paladins, one of the weaker teams we'll see all season, and they got the job done, winning a close game by 5, as Furman made it close at the end, but thanks to the performance of David Giles, once again our top scorer, we were able to silence them and take the win as we were favorites in that game. Now, we have a matchup against our in-state rival, Belmont. For some of my new subscribers, or if you're just joining me on this series, you guys might not remember Season 1's matchup against Belmont, and which is a big reason why we rescheduled them here this year. And I could describe how the game went, but instead, I'll play a clip from that episode, this third episode of this series, one of my first videos ever on YouTube. This is Throwback College Sports Revived here, so buckle up as you see how the first matchup in the series went down. Cartwright giving it to Hammond, who looks like he wants the isolation. He's backing down Greenville. This is a definite mismatch. Drop step, pump fake from 8 feet, and that's good. Hammond back to being our go-to player this game as it's a 1-point game. We now have the lead. 20 seconds left. Keontae Grant on the outside, closely guarded by D. Cartwright. Grant at the controls. Surveys the floor, gives it left wing. Clint Singleton, the senior from Memphis with 23 points, gives these Belmont Bruins the lead. No timeouts left for Coach Carter. D. Cartwright to the left wing. David Giles, jab steps for 3. That's good! That's good! UT Martin has beaten the Belmont Bruins off of a game winner from David Giles. How about that? Coach Carter's first collegiate win. A game-winning three-pointer on our home court. Pretty awesome, right? Yeah, that was one of the first games in this series, our home opener, and Coach Carter's first collegiate win was off a game winner of the hands of David Giles. Just the impact that game had, we knew that a rematch with the Belmont Bruins was going to happen sooner or later, so thus we take our 2-0 record to Belmont, Tennessee to take on the Bruins, as they are very similar to Indiana State in a way. A lot of shooters for the Bruins. They play a very high octane offense. They try to get as many shots up as they can. Luckily for us though, they had a guy, Clint Singleton, as you saw, he had a huge shot to take the lead with a few seconds left. He had 23 against us, but he was their one senior in the starting lineup who graduated. Now they got Ulrich Knight as their leading scorer so far. Cedric Greenville also had a really good game against us too. Melvin Wainwright, a stretch forward who can hit it from outside and has some decent ball skills, so a very versatile Belmont team on the offensive side of things. So expect some fireworks this game, as just like last year, no love lost between these two teams, as Coach Carter and his UT Martin Skyhawk players make the 2.5-hour bus ride east to Nashville, Tennessee, where Belmont University is located, to have a rematch with these in-state rivals. So getting us started early, no good. David Giles trying to stay hot as he's averaging north of 18 points per game on the early goings of the season. But here we go, we're getting an early dose of just what these Belmont Bruins like to do on offense, fast breaking, contributing for their first 4 points in the matchup. Now here comes Marcus Saunders, nice job finding an open shot off the dribble, pump fake, freed him up, as there's the first field goal for the Skyhawks tonight. Joey Bowler continuing to develop as more of a power forward instead of a small forward. Nice screen from him right there, as Saunders has 2 early buckets here against these Bruins. As he also out-hustles the fast break, tips a pass and stops it. As you could say, Marcus Saunders is almost a secret weapon of sorts in this game. Belmont didn't see a lot of him last year when we faced off, but now Saunders, as we all know, developed so nicely at the end of last year. But how about this pass from point guard Keontae Grant? Grant, a 5'11" point guard, one of the many seniors we'll see on this team. He didn't shoot the ball a lot a year ago, but he had a lot of assists for Belmont, as another missed shot here in the early goings for the Skyhawks as they try to work out the kinks in their offense. Continuing to run the fast break is Belmont, as Ulrich Knight puts in the layup. There's the Belmont Bruins leading scorer getting on the board. Go back to Marcus Saunders on the next possession. This time he makes a smart pass inside to Floyd Zubak with a little kiss off the glass with the left hand as he gets the bump and the bucket, as he would also finish off the and one. But here we go, Belmont continuing the fast break. They're going on a bit of a run, but finally Saunders continues to out-hustle the Bruins. One of the few guys right now showing some grit, showing some fight, is the sophomore Marcus Saunders. I'm so used to calling him a freshman, but yeah, he's one of the few guys really stepping up here, as our Skyhawks have just looked bad on both sides of the floor tonight. How about this bounce? Kai Drayton, one of the better three-point shooters on the squad, rather, as it's now a 21-13 game, and the senior Giles making a freshman-type turnover right there. Drayton picks it up. A dish off to Anderson Hilliard from way downtown. Belmont with a plethora of guys who can hit from beyond the arc, including their big fellas. So, moving the ball around, easily tries it, no good, but Saunders regains possession. Another hustle play for the sophomore, easily. Shot clock winding down, a beautiful dish inside, passing out of the jump shot. And that possession kind of has to be an analogy almost for the Skyhawks today. Things aren't starting how they went the way they want, just like that tipped shot, but Saunders kept the play alive, easily found an assist at the end of the shot clock. They have to bounce back here in this game like they did on that possession, but it's going to be hard to try to fight their way back into this game, as Ulrich Knight, the top scorer for the Bruins, makes a circus shot on the baseline. Everything falling here in the first half for the Bruins as they threaten a 40-point first half. And here's Cedric Greenville, a very good slasher, as he's got an early 6 points. Most of Belmont's damage coming in transition when they run the open court. Shooting almost 70% from the field so far right now, or the Bruins. Belmont goes to the locker room with a lead of 12 right now, and that's mostly because of their hot three-point shooting, UT Martin's inability to close down the break, and how they're destroying UT Martin on the glass right now. And it continues. Cedric Greenville wide open. Wake up, fellas. Come on, it's a 15-point game. We're going to get blown out by our in-state rivals before this game even gets started. David Giles, nice screen from Christopher Fay, no good. But Fay crashing the glass. He gets a third opportunity. Finally some fight from somebody, How about the energizing freshman play from Faye, looking like Kenneth Fareed on that possession, not giving up. Finally, some grit shown by one of these Skyhawk players, easily with a dribbling showcase, gives it out to David Giles as he starts to get acquainted with this offense tonight. 11 points for the senior as he's in double figures for the third time this year in as many games. Finally forcing some stats, Giles with the baby crossover gets by Keontae Grant. Taking a look at that, what a move by the senior, as some early struggles from Giles tonight, but as he starts to get going, so did the Skyhawks. But here comes Oregon Knight, way too much space left by player Renfro, one of the best shooters in the Atlantic Sun Conference. Just can't give him that much space. It's still a 13-point game, but UT Martin would slowly but surely close the gap as Easley finally makes his first field goal. Unfortunately, Easley's been a little bit below expectations this year, but he's not going to stop there. Christopher Faye with the hop-step layup. Even when things aren't going well for Easley, we already know that he is going to give it his all. Faye back in the post. Ball works around to Dwight Easley, and here he goes, fading away. But this one will be no good. 8 rebounds for Melvin Wainwright. But Melvin Wainwright gets a little bit too complacent on the outlet pass. Christopher Faye was lurking up as he takes advantage. 3 offensive rebounds for Christopher Faye as there's more second chance points. And Saunders, next possession with a veteran-type move, shielding Cedric Greenville on the layup, using his body to protect the ball and himself, cashing in as Saunders would sit at 11 points on the ball game, pending the free throw. So now a 5-point game. Finally starting to make it competitive, but Kai Drayton, who's been so good from beyond the arc today, showing that he can slash with the best of them as well. He's got potential to be one of the better scorers in the conference. But D. Cartwright with another solid game off the bench. He's been leading the second team. With Dwight Easley's early season struggles, D. Cartwright has almost saved the Skyhawks in more ways than one, leading the bench in points per game and showing off some of his slashing here as he will drain 2 of 2. Now a 5-point game after D's free throws. Another 3 off the mark. Belmont starting to cool off here. Outlet from Zubek. D. Cartwright using his wheels to lead the break. How about this dish? Wow, what a pass from Cartwright, the senior, connecting with the sophomore Joey Ballard. Finally a 1-possession game as D. Cartwright continues to lead UT Martin's plan of attack. But D dishes it off to Joey Ballard with a hook shot? Is that Joey Ballard developing an offensive game perhaps? We know one thing about Joey Ballard is that he's not the most skilled, he's not the most athletic, but he's one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. But here comes Oregon Knight with a clean 15 points on the night. Belmont up by 4 with 3:10 left to go. They've had a really good defensive possession, locking down the paint, closing out on Christopher Faye. 5 seconds left, easily, and the Skyhawks, they're looking for a basket. Giles at the end of the shot clock, good from downtown, cutting it back to a 1-point game. Giles, if he wants to be the go-to guy this season, he's going to have to get creative and make shots like that in the big moments. So a stop and a score, and UT Martin can have their first lead of the night. Oregon Knight, no good. Not a very friendly bounce there as leading the attack on this time up the floor is Saunders. Up to Giles. A crafty finish to get it around the outstretched arms of the 6'11" Anderson Hilliard. And your UT Martin Skyhawks have overcome a 15-point deficit to get their first lead of the night. And after another stop on defense, Easley sees a big guy on him. He tries to take him just like he would any other time, but a heads-up play by Oregon Knight, ripping Dwight Easley. Great help side defense leads to a tough shot, but it drops for Cedric Greenville as he hits some big shots in the year 1 matchup of this game. And here comes Saunders, makes a smart play, passes up a good shot to get a great shot, but the execution was great, but Giles could not make that open jump shot with 42 left to play. Still down by 1. Grant with a beautiful dish inside. I don't know how that wasn't picked off. One of the best dimers we'll face all year. Keontae Grant makes another nice pass in the game. Stepping to the charity stripe, Anderson Hilliard, one of the better big men free throw shooters you'll see around the NCAA. And he steps up, nails 2 of 2 to give the Bruins a 3-point lead. And Coach Carter uses his second to last timeout. And as we know, Carter, a very good X's and O's coach. We'll see what he has drawn up out of the timeout. A pick and roll between Ballard and Easley. And then he has Saunders flashing out to the corner. A great play call as Marcus Saunders has points number 15 and 16 off of the play, off of the timeout. So, trying to foul here But wait, Coach Carter instructs his team not to foul. They want to see if they can rip it first. Easily pressuring Keontae Grant, picks his pocket, off to the races. No one's back to stop the 6'1 sophomore. Easily with another tough game. But if there's one thing we know about the makeup of this kid, doesn't matter how bad of a game he's had, he's going to keep his head in all the way through. Such a hard worker as he steps up and makes a huge play as UT Martin looks to stay undefeated. Timeout Bruins, they got 4.5 seconds left. They have a chance to do us like we did them last year with a game winner to send us home empty-handed. 3 seconds left. Out to Greenville, who's open, and it's off the front rim. UT Martin continues their undefeated start to the season, putting down the Belmont Bruins for the second time in as many years, and your player of the game is Marcus Saunders. One unified sigh of relief for the fans, the players, and Coach Carter himself, and I'm sure the viewers too of this episode, as Cedric Greenville had a great look at the rim at the end of the game. They drew that up to perfection. We were all focused in on Anderson Hilliard and Ulrich Knight, but they go to a guy who has hit some shots tonight, but not the guy we all thought they were going to go to, and Cedric Greenville. Execution was great, but just off the mark. So, as we continue on, we look at the box score, and it was really the bench that kept us in it. I think the starters owe the reserves some dinner tonight because, guys like Christopher Fay and D. Cartwright coming up so clutch there when the offense was so stagnant. And that was the play that led to David Giles, Marcus Saunders, and easily all having better second halves than first. So we move on and we stay undefeated. Another game we were favored in, but we took care of business on our home court, defeating Army. Our offense continues to look as good as it did in the second half of the year last year, but limiting Army to only 13 points in the second half, and even though we took the L against Southern in the next game, we only let up 54 points, but we were due to have a bad night shooting. Our offense has been so potent so far this season that every team has an off night. And in the Southern game, we also suffer our first injury of the season, the freshman Luke Lawton, who's been playing good defense and making a few shots here and there. He pulled his hamstring, and he wants to play through it. He can't play through it if he wants to, but against a top 12 team like the Florida Gators, that just doesn't seem like a smart move. They have top NBA prospect Joaquin Bishop, averaging north of 17 points per game. But the one thing that bodes well for us in this game is the Florida Gators. They're dinged up. Tyler Sutton, one of the best post players you'll see in the nation, he's going to be playing with an injury. They also have the Defensive Player of the Year last year in college basketball, Hakeem Murphy, who tore his MCL, so he'll be out. He will not be playing, so thank goodness we don't have to go up against him when we drive the lane. So fulfilling the big shoes left behind by Hakeem Murphy will be Troy Witherspoon, the sophomore, 6'9" forward, making his first collegiate start, averaging just under 4 points per game as most of his offense comes from beyond the three-point stripe. And despite UF being so dinged up, we are still 20-plus point underdogs in this ball game as David Giles gets us started early with a three-point shot, and we're hanging with Florida in the early stages of the ball game. Only 5 minutes has elapsed, and we find ourselves in the driver's seat as Floyd Zubek, playing some defense down low, rips Witherspoon, and it's off to the races. Marcus Saunders with a crazy acrobatic layup gets it to fall, and you're going to need some luck on your side like that layup right there if you're going to compete with a top 25 team when you're from a conference like Ohio Valley. But here is Peyton Huertas, one of the top freshmen in the nation, as he's got 8 of Florida's first 12 points of the night. 16-12 ball game. They go inside Tyler Sutton. He did not miss one field goal tonight despite playing banged up. 18-14 now as D. Cartwright checks in for some reserve minutes. The ball reverses around to Dwight Easley, who actually is sharing the court with D. Cartwright right now, as Easley finally had a huge game in this one. One of the main reasons why we were pretty competitive with this top 25 opponent. Easley goes over to Saunders. Big shot as UT Martin finds himself with a lead with around 60 seconds to go in the first half, and they would not stop there. Dwight Easley drives the lane, and he also forces free throws as these Florida Gators look stunned right now that these Skyhawks are putting up this good of a fight. This crowd seems out of it. I'm sure most of these people in attendance have ever heard of Tennessee Martin, let alone know where that even is. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter because we found ourselves with a 2-point lead going into the second half of action. This would be a program-changing type upset if we can pull it off here tonight. But Tyler Sutton stays hot, Nice shooter's touch there from about 5 feet out. Christopher Fay continuing to have trouble with the dynamic big man. And here is Joaquin Bishop. Haven't said his name at all tonight, but there's his first field goal of the ball game. He finally gets on the board with a 3-pointer right there. Ball reversal, Troy Witherspoon. He had a great second half, filling the shoes of Hakeem Murphy the best that he could. Most of his points coming in the final 15 minutes. Now here comes Jeremy Kuhn now, the starting point guard for University of Florida. And he finally gets on the board as well. Him and Bishop only combined for 1 point in the first half, but they're getting it started early. They're coming out with a vengeance here. Ball reversal goes back up to the top of the key. Troy Witherspoon with another big basket. And here we go. Starting to finally relinquish the lead and come back down to earth for a little bit. But despite Florida heating up, UT Martin made it competitive here in the second half. It was an 8-point game with 40 seconds to go, but that bomb from Joaquin Bishop, the All-American, will be the nail in the coffin. At the end of the day, UT Martin continues to play their best basketball we've seen here in the series, only losing to number 12 ranked Florida by 11 points, 71-60. You can't expect to win a game like this, but just the fact that they kept it competitive for so long really shows where this team's at and how they're light years ahead from the squad last year. Dwight easily triumphs his career high, formerly 19. He puts up a 20 mark today in the stat sheet. Marcus Saunders, another great game with 18, and those two guys limited Jeremy Kuhn and Joaquin Bishop to only 17 points on the night. Only 7 made field goals between the two star-studded guards there in Florida's backcourt. Troy Witherspoon, a great game for him in his first college start, and Tyler Sutton, perfect from the field, 19 for him on the ball game. So, looking in the next episode, we sit at 4-2, a very impressive start for UT Martin. I don't think anybody expected them to be this hot as they face Samford to begin conference play. They got 3 conference games: Samford, Morehead State, and Eastern Illinois. 2 more non-conference games against Fairleigh Dickinson out in New Jersey, and then they face another top 10 team at the Washington Huskies. And yeah, that's where we're going to hang it up here, guys. But before I let you guys go today, we'll take a look at the box scores right now and the stat sheets. As the three-headed monster of David Giles, Dwight Easley, and Marcus Saunders contributes for 39 points per game so far in the season. Normally you'd say, hey, we want to get the other guys involved, but our offense playing the way it is, it seems like this trio scoring most of the points is giving us success. We can't look past the other guys on the roster though, as Ballard has had a great start to this season, scoring more points than we thought he was going to, and chipping in 5 rebounds, playing great defense on the interior. He's really fulfilled that power forward role. And Floyd Zubek with 7 rebounds. Everybody playing well, the bench stepping up. As we look to the next episode, we start conference play here in year 2, so stay tuned for that. With the way our UT Martin Skyhawks have started this season, the future is bright down here for Coach Carter and company.